All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Abstraction Cup round of 64 weekend. We've had some quite interesting matches. We have another interesting match here. I know all of these players, so going to kind of be talking about them. Once I get to the introduction of my co-caster, Dynascape. Hello, how's it going?
It's going well. Like you said, pretty interesting matchup. A lot of familiar faces, especially, at least for me, on the side of Team Blue. We have Hypergamer and Shadow GM, two really big namestays for the Mexican scene in MWC. So I'd love to see what they're hidden over here, as they are the lower seeded team. But as you said, I mean, go ahead and give me your analysis on what's going to go on for this match.
Yeah, so from the red team, I think I am very familiar with both of these players, since I think Senkyu has been in the tournament community, or the tournament scene, for a while now. And CLLG going to be a tournament rising star. Actually, they've been kind of getting into the groove of playing in these tournaments, and they've been doing decently in these past tournaments. And for Team Blue, I'm very familiar with both of those players. Xiao GM, I think, is a really strong LN coordination player from what I've seen, since I think I've won against them in the LN tournament that happened very recently. So Hypergamer, as everyone knows, an early game demon. So yeah, maybe Hypergamer can kind of cook on this pool along with Xiaojian. But overall, I think this is going to be an interesting match.
Yeah, I don't think so far most of the matches we haven't had anything closer than a 5-2. I think this is one of those matches where it could probably go either way, just because, like you were saying, Shadow GM really good at early game, and I feel like, at least in terms of qualifiers, Nahiblox didn't do so well on Rice, but obviously with the difficulty being so low, they could probably take a couple breakpoints. But I think overall they are around as good as them on LN, so I think Team Blue should be trying to pick up any LNs that they can, and then try to get any breakpoints on Rice, whereas Team Red could create a big name, just try to go for as many Rice picks as possible, try to ban out one of the LNs, and then go through with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think this is one of the matches where teams can win their own maps that they picked, and then there's just breakpoints mid-match, since kind of Rice versus LN matches are kind of that way. So I feel like it's going to be interesting if that happens in this match.
Yeah, they really are always that way, and I think one thing to think about is, as the map pool dwindles down and you get to some of these picks that you're not as comfortable on, that's really where the breakpoints, like you were talking about, start to show up. And so I think when you start getting to some of the lighter Rice picks, maybe Team Blue can do something there. And then once you start, if Nahiblox can live long enough to see a couple of hybrids, that's where Team Red might be able to get some of their breakpoints. So definitely very, very scary situation for both teams once the map pool evens out. But Team Blue protecting LN3, not a surprise there. Polyrhythm has been shown to be a very, very difficult map in terms of all of the other LNs in the pool. I mean, I feel like we've seen a lot of players so far this weekend struggle on this one more than any other map in the pool.
Well, I mean, yeah, it is an LN tech, which kind of is the hardest LN in any pool. Surprisingly not coordination, but LN tech is to be expected, the hardest LN map in the pools. And as you said, I think that it could take a miss or two for one of these teams to get the break point on the opponent's like strengths, and they can kind of count on their weakness and then go for their weakness instead to try and gamble those points.
Yeah, and I'm loving this LN1 ban from Get Creative. Aside from LN3, I think people have been not too great in terms of like the inverse density required on this map. And so it seems like the most optimal ban for Team Red. And Rice 3, I also like as well. I mean, it's the fast techie map. It's the one that has a lot of physical requirement compared to some of the other Rice maps in this pool. And so I think that would be probably their best bet in getting a very straightforward accuracy battle on that kind of chart.
Yeah, and we do see that blue team will be banning Rice 6 Man of the Year. Kind of expected, since there is kind of just really trippy long jacks like at some parts of the map. But we do see that Hybrid 2 pick. And it kind of makes sense that both of these teams are gonna kind of like one team is gonna protect Rice and one team is gonna protect LN. So yeah, here we have Hybrid 2. I think. Oh yeah, I was gonna say like it makes sense that Team Red is gonna be biased towards the Rice picks, since I know that both of these players on Team Red are really strong in the Rice department. So I can expect for them to kind of like have Rice as their strengths in this match.
Exactly. And so Hybrid 2, I would say more of an interesting first pick from Nahiblox. When you're not guaranteed too many picks in the map pool, you probably want to go in the category that you were protecting. And I would have loved to have seen LN2 or LN3, but I mean, as far as hybrids go, this is probably the best one that you could choose for Nahiblox, right? You would probably say that, right?
Yeah. I mean, it does have some roly aspects in this map. So it kind of can be trippy at first, but then the last half of the map is kind of just like, you know, it's kind of just really Ellen biased, if that makes sense.
Oh, no, for sure. And that's why I think that this could be potentially a good pick for them. I just don't know if, you know, I don't know how well Senkyu is on hybrid picks. So it's a big question mark up in the air for me as to how Team Red is going to do on this. I do think that at this level of difficulty at round of 64, you're not going to be really expecting any misses. It's more just trying to minimize the amount of grates that you get throughout the map.
Yeah, I mean, even if there's not much misses as we would expect, there can be some drastic accuracy drops, and what is happening with the client? Yeah, I think we're gonna need a panic button on that.
Yeah, quick little panic button. Play the map. Not allowed, right? So
Yeah,
no, 5 players, and as it stands, we're over Shadow GM.
oh, yeah. So far, Senkyu having the accuracy lead from Xiao GM. Seems like Senkyu can be in the LN or hybrid department. So as it looks like, let's see, Shadow GM kind of the breathing area for that score lead.
Exactly. I mean, 99 point. The bulk of the LN difficulty hasn't. This is where things get really rolly, and this is where accuracies can go to die. This is the last fourth of advantage as well. Can they miss, and can Shadow GM make something happen?
It's all about the accuracy or the misses, honestly, as we get into this last part. Senkyu dropping that accuracy bit by bit, but it's not going to do much as the map is about to come to a close, and it looks like they are going to get this point for their team. So it is now 1-0 in Get Creative safe.
And I gotta see the ratios. I really feel like if Shadow GM didn't miss, they probably would have taken the point, especially because I think Senkyu picked up 1 or 2 greats right at the very end. So quite unfortunate. However, I mean, pretty good showing for Team Blue. It seems like they can take points on their picks and can probably make this match competitive. However, Team Red, first point and next up to pick which rice do you think they'll be taking?
Honestly, I think they could go for Rice 1 as their pick. I feel like it's in their comfort zone to pick Rice 1, honestly, since it is a dump-oriented pick. I feel like that CLLG could kind of cook on that pick. But there are other options like Rice 5, since it's a decently techie pick. Or yeah, techie pick. But there's definitely a lot of options since the rice has not been touched yet, other than that ban from Team Blue, of course. So yeah, they could go for LN, honestly, since they did just win that hybrid pick.
That would kind of be a crazy turnout, but I think, you know, this pick is really the important pick where you try to test your opponent on a certain skill set or something adjacent to the skill set that you want to be picking for your next couple picks. And so, you know, if you want to go kind of like that dumpy route, sure, you can go ahead and go Rice 1, but, you know, you do have that protect on Rice 3, so I feel like you could probably go with something like Rice 5 and see if Rice 3 really was a good protect for you.
Yeah, I mean, definitely not something to scoff about when choosing these maps. But hybrid 1 is actually going to be the pick from red team. See, I feel like that was to be expected since they did win that hybrid 2. So I'm pretty sure they're gonna want to go for another one.
Yeah, just keep that rice pool open as open as possible. I do think that this kind of makes sense. You know, the last map was really rolling in terms of LNs, and Senkyu seemed like they were doing really fine on that. So then when you translate that into like a less rolly but more Gracie kind of patterning, and then you have it on rice instead, that really works out for their skill set, especially because, you know, they were having like a 99.82 3/4 of the way into the map. So Shadow GM has their work cut out for them on this, because yes, they did have better raid count than Senkyu, but worse MA. And, you know, if they can minimize the misses, both players FC, I think this might be a little close, but with Senkyu's you know, rice proficiency, I think they can probably take it quite convincingly.
Yeah, Senkyu kind of winning these points based on the ratio. Shadow GM going to kind of rely on their combo, honestly, since they did almost FC that. I don't think it would have mattered. Oh, okay, and there's a miss as I say that, and it looks like that was a really big drop, actually. Their accuracy went down to a 99.5, and they're kind of climbing that accuracy up, but don't think it will matter for now, as this map is 3 minutes 40. So yeah, anything can happen, honestly. And Senkyu with that crazy accuracy so far. And we do get into these kind of Jackie patterns.
Exactly. Shadow GM taking the early 200. A little bit of a caster curse at the start for that miss, huh? But to be fair, the best place to miss is at the very beginning. So, you know, if a miss is traded and accuracies are even, Senkyu will have taken more damage. However, it does seem like they're really struggling on this map. They're up at a 99.96 until this little breakdown section, but 99.8 is just fine as well. Definitely beating out Shadow GM and getting a 4,000 point lead.
Yeah, Shadow GM going to have a bit of a hard time trying to get this lead back, as Senkyu does have the accuracy to kind of extend this lead. Oh, and there's goes a miss as I say that. The second caster curse, and there's another one as we get into these rolly patterns or Gracie patterns. I'm sorry, but Shadow GM now has the lead.
Yeah, that was a pretty ugly drop from Senkyu, right? You had two misses, very isolated, a lot of bad judgments in between, and the fact that it hit at a full combo cap means that Shadow GM pretty good lead. We saw 4,000 for Team Red, now it's 4,000 for Team Blue as we get into this little break section. So both players gonna see how far or behind they are from each other. Shadow GM should have one thing on his mind, and that's to keep the combo for the rest of the map.
Yeah, as I was saying before, like Shadow GM is gonna kind of like rely on their combo. So if they hold onto this combo for the rest of the map, then they could take the point and set another breakpoint on this match. This is going to be pretty interesting final half or final fourth of this. So yeah, I think this is going to be interesting from here on out. Shadow GM climbing that accuracy to a 99.7, dropping the accuracy a little bit, but I don't think it matters. And that's a drop. And the lead is going to kind of shrink. It looks like it's going to the other side. I have no idea.
Yeah, I think as Shadow GM tries to get to 400 combo, and with that miss, I think the deal is done unless Senkyu trades it back really quickly. I mean, Senkyu, it was messy, but they've survived. There is one more very difficult section. Lots of graces with weirder LNs. The releases can be quite tricky, but Senkyu has done well to recover. Can they close this out and take yet another point for Team Red? It kind of does seem so, huh?
Yeah, it seemed like that big miss from Xiao GM. Oh, they just missed at the end. It seemed like that was the nail in the coffin, and that just gives it to get creative, make a name, a second point. So, fortunately it is now Team Blue's pick. So they're gonna try to go for the LNs now that they know what the other team is capable of in the hybrid department.
Exactly, and I've got to say that was probably one of the more interesting maps that we've seen throughout this weekend. There's not many maps, especially in a bracket as polarizing as Round of 64, where you get a back and forth such as that. But I mean, it was so weird seeing Team Red have a 4,000 point lead, a couple drops, Team Blue having a 4,000 point lead, couple drops, Team Red eking it out in the end. So again, I think that Team Blue does have the chops to take a couple of breakpoints, but the window has kind of closed a little bit on that, because really, aside from those LNs, that those hybrid picks did seem like kind of the other thing that they'd be good at and try to get breakpoints on. So not many things left there. They are going to go for the protect in LN3, so we're going to see a little polyrhythm. I feel like in all of these three maps represented so far, we've just kind of seen the LN releasey side of things. So as confident as they were for LN3 before the start of the match, I am a bit worried to see how this turns out, because Senkyu has really proven themselves when it comes to weirder LN patterns.
Yeah, and it seems like that Shadow GM did kind of had some consistency issues. So it's kind of gonna be like a scary pick for them, as Senkyu can really hold that combo and the accuracy. So it's kind of just, you have to like kind of beat them out in the ratio if you really want this point. Maybe even the combo, honestly, since I think Shadow GM can combo some of these maps really well.
Yeah, and I think in terms of the ratio that you're talking about, generally Shadow GM has had worse MA but better grade count compared to Senkyu on these maps. This is something to really watch out for, because I do think that when you are assaulted with as many LN releases on a map like this, you are bound to pick up a couple of 200s at the very least, especially if you're not a top team or top player in this tournament. So Shadow GM trying to minimize the amount of 200s and kind of keep that MA around the same as Senkyu's is going to be absolutely necessary in order for him to take the point.
Yeah, Senkyu not having a great start, but climbing that accuracy where it's almost similar to Shadow GM's, but dropping that accuracy. It kind of actually is similar now. A little bit similar. But yeah, it only is the start of the map, so nothing to judge. But Senkyu does have that accuracy lead so far. But these LN patterns could make someone miss, and it seems like both these players are actually chilling on this. But Senkyu dropping that accuracy, even if they both full comboed it.
Pretty, I guess, rough start from Senkyu. Not the best showing, a couple late 200 releases, and so maybe that's an indicator of what may happen as this map goes on, because again, a lot of weird rhythms, obviously, and a lot of coordination needed, and so Senkyu tanking that note and is going to drop down to 99.36. A couple of late 200s as well in order for Shadow GM to pick up probably the most convincing lead that we've seen throughout this match so far.
Yeah, that drop from Senkyu just gave it away to Shadow GM just by only 8,000, but Shadow GM kind of is dropping that accuracy a little bit, but they are still at the 99.7, but they're dropping their accuracy a lot, and it kind of just shrink that lead a little bit. But yeah, these weird Ellen patterns, I can understand why Senkyu missed, because these look like some of the hardest Ellen patterns you've probably ever seen in a tournament. But especially in the early game stage, I almost forgot to point that out. But yeah, it seems like Shadow GM is holding on to that combo, and they probably will take this point if they can hold on to this combo, which I think they will do since they kind of did FC that part. So yeah.
Yeah, misses aside, accuracy is probably very similar when we get to the results screen, but there's still a chance for Senkyu to take this point. It's happened before, it might happen again. Things are wrapping up back in Polyrhythm, and there's a third left, so lots of time for Shadow GM to maybe trip up.
Oh, yeah, this is a really scary position from this point on forward. Seems like both players not having too much trouble with these kind of patterns. Shadow GM still holding on to that full combo. With that solid accuracy, it is going to be a little better than Senkyu's. But Senkyu does find that drop again, and it just dropped their accuracy, and it gave away the lead to Shadow GM. And it seems like Shadow GM can win this point, even if they find a miss in these last few patterns.
I want to say that Senkyu has dropped both times on like the only shieldy parts in the song. You know, when you had the pretty straightforward Ellen Jacks, they did just fine, but then the shields came up, and then Senkyu dropped accuracy. So unfortunately, as close as things were aside from the misses, Shadow GM is gonna take the point and secure their protect. So not out of it just yet. Nahiblox securing it, hitting the car horn, and it is 1-2 now.
Yeah, Shadow GM going to get their protect out of the way, and it seems like that was really their comfort pick, and that is why they protected it. So yeah, that's going to be it for the Ellen oriented picks, I guess, because I think that now it is time for the Rice. Hopefully, as it is Team Red's pick, so I would expect them to pick a Rice. Maybe they could probably pick their protect, which is Rice 3, right?
Yeah, I think they probably should pick their protect, but I was thinking about it, and you know, Hybrid 3 doesn't seem like the worst idea in the world. I mean, if you wanted to go out there.
I mean, isn't Polyrhythm like a Ellen tech?
Yeah, Polyrhythm's a Ellen tech, but like Hybrid 3, I feel like, you know, they already picked Hybrid 1. You might as well finish off
you might as well just like clear out the Hybrid so that you don't have to play them anymore. That's and then you could just take out the LN2, and then you don't have to play any more LNs or hybrids.
Exactly right. But you know, obviously, get creative, make a name, trying to show Nahiblox how good they are on the top part of the pool at some point. But they are gonna go for Rice 1. They are gonna take your advice and go for the dumpy, flowy map.
Yeah. I mean, I did expect this earlier on, but it seems like now they are going to kind of use this as their emergency pick almost, since I feel like they would think in their minds that Hybrid 3 or LN2 is kind of a risky pick no matter what. So yeah, it makes sense that they would go for Rice now, since they did not, so they're not going to sweep, so they're gonna kind of use that Rice pick to get another point.
Should be noted that 3 maps have passed, and On all three maps, we had the other players, thank you, and Shadow GM. So now they are forced to make a swap, and I don't know, pretty interesting decision. This is where like some actual like real thought into your picks can come into play, because if you know Hyper Gamer is coming out for this pick, you can try to pick something that is the worst skill set wise for him, and so they think that it is Rice 1 and CLLG has the upper hand when it comes to dumpy Rice. And I was gonna, before I realized that they had to make the swap, I was gonna say like Seikyu has been like really dominating the just straightforward Rice sections of all of the maps. Let's see how CLLG does against Hyper Gamer on this.
I mean, I feel like this is going to be a really interesting matchup. CLLG and Hyper Gamer, two of the like one of the like most consistent early gamers. I feel like so this is probably going to be a really interesting match. I actually didn't think that this would actually happen, but now it is. But yeah, CLOG kind of that like you can throw anything at him and then he can just like, or they can just like, kind of crush that map.
Yeah, and I mean, on starts like this, and on accuracy, on maps that I know it's going to be an accuracy battle, I tend to look at the UR bars and like look at CLLGs compared to Hyper Gamers. There's such a big difference in it, and it really shows in the accuracy, right? 99.98 versus 99.83. We are going to get into one of the more dense sections, so let's see if this shakes anything up, because there are a lot of weird snaps that happens.
Yeah, so it looks like that CLOG actually having that unanimous accuracy lead, as it is about like a 0.13 accuracy difference, and the score lead is kind of just not that big, but a miss could be the end of days here, which would not happen in the break section, right?
Exactly. I mean, when you're looking at a 99.96, that's around a 998.5, and then Hyper Gamer is looking at a 995. That is a huge difference, right? We're looking at something that will probably tune out to be 3,500 points of a difference as the map ends. And so when you think about it that way, it means that CLLG has such a buffer, not enough for a one miss buffer, I don't think, but enough where they could drop accuracy, maybe take a 200 or two, and still be in the lead.
Yeah. I mean, even if CLOG does drop a grade, I mean, it could not matter. I feel like it could shrink the score lead just by a little bit, but not gonna really do much to the score lead, as that ratio is kind of insane.
And well, CLG, nothing doing. I mean, everything has been thrown at them, all the different snaps, longer dump sections, some funny little inside patterns, but still keeping up that 99.93. There's only a fourth of the map left. The lead has grown to 2,500, and as good as Hyper Gamer is at early game Rice or anything related to early game, it's just not enough. CLG, pretty dominant performance so far. This is the last section, and if they can close this one out, that would really be a statement for the rest of the Rice pool.
Yeah, as we get into the... All right, wait, sorry. Go.
No, you're good. I was gonna say Hyper Gamer, unfortunate miss, probably focusing too much on accuracy, as there's a lot of mental drain on a map like this where it's 3.5 minutes. So unfortunate miss. CLG taking that point in dominant fashion. I mean, halving Hyper Gamer's perfects is very, very good.
Yeah. Kind of a devastating place to miss, but pretty much wouldn't have mattered anyway, since CLG does have that ratio. That score is crazy, especially on a map like this. But yeah, it is now Nahiblox's pick.
Yeah, kind of the silver lining for that. Nahiblox will get to pick, but the damage has been done 3-1. Of course, they are going to go for LN2. I feel like that is the only choice that they can really make. It's either that or Hybrid 3, right? And so, well, we are going to see some more subs again. TLG going to go out. Senku going to come in for this LN pick. Shadow GM going to come in for Hyper Gamer, and this is going to kind of be a redux of what we saw for LN3 as well as the other two hybrids. So these two have been very, very close beside each other when it comes to LN/hybrid. And so I think that while Nahiblox is probably the more likely to win this, you know, anything can happen. And Senku has showed that they can take some breakpoints when it's needed.
Yeah, seems like Senku can be dominant in the accuracy department when it comes to pick like these, but Shadow GM kind of gonna try to rely on their combo once again. At least that's what I think, but you never know. It may be that Shadow GM can kind of set you on that ratio, but it seems like they're not having a good start so far. So
This is kind of a surprising start for Shadow GM. They didn't have the best up. This map on the shorter side from a distance C LN pick. This is like the very straight 995 as the map ends, but things are pretty.
yeah, the accuracies are kind of close this time around. But Senku does have the better accuracy, as Shadow GM kind of is dropping that accuracy to only like 99.8 on the dot. So yeah, that's kind of a sticky situation for Shadow GM right now.
100%. And you know, as far as things go, accuracy is pretty close, all things considered, right? 0.03 isn't a crazy amount. 1-200 can switch things up for Shadow GM. The thing is, the map is running out. There's only one more dense section, and here it is. Let's see if anything comes out from Senku, holding on for dear life, and this would be a huge point for them to take, because a second breakpoint on a map like this and going into the next map 4-1 is such a huge boon.
Oh, I did see that great from Shadow GM, and it looks like that alone just gave Senku the point for them to be at match point. So kind of a rough spot for Nahiblox to be in.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you see it here, Senku actually beating out Shadow GM in terms of 200s and on MA. I really do wonder what happened at the start for Shadow GM, because it felt very uncanny for them to pick up as many 300s, and I think picked up a grade at the start as well. So pretty unfortunate for them. Nahiblox going down 1-4, and Team Red, they have the bullet loaded. They've got their sights set on Nahiblox to take them out into the losers bracket. How do they want to do it?
I feel like they could just go for their protect. I mean, they didn't protect Rice 3 for nothing. I mean, I think they could pick it now that it is their pick.
Yeah, 100%. You know, it was their protect. It was their map that they think they had the best chance of winning against Nahiblox. You might as well just take it out now. And seeing how Rice 1 went, if CLLG comes in for Rice 3, I think they should, you know, have a good time and are very favored to win on that map.
Yeah, but kind of a really long intermission for this pick. It could actually be going for a different pick, honestly.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that they're taking this long to think about it. I wonder if they had anything else in mind and maybe wanted to save it like really, really just in case, but no, they're just gonna pull the trigger on Rice 3. It's gonna be Protest the Hero. Shoegazer map on 1.2, and well, this one is pretty big. I mean, it's very, very techy, it's very fast. There, compared to Rice 1, there's a huge jump in physicality needed. And so we'll see if that translates to anything on the accuracy field for these two.
Yeah, this is a really techie pick. And I mean, there could be misses all over the board because of the mini jacks alone, since mini jacks are like the top patterns that like make up tech. And it's overall like one of the hardest things to in my opinion. But yeah,
I mean, I feel like in terms of when mini jacks are incorporated into a rice pick, depending on how you transition in and out of a mini jack section, those can obviously be very deadly. The notes that surround a mini jack, if you're hitting a little dump section before it, and then hey, you have to switch brain modes and hit some mini jacks after that. I feel like those are what really always trip up players, especially in any tournament setting when you're going for high accuracy score. You have a different kind of reading, and having to transition between different rice skill sets mid map is what separates a great player from a good rice player.
yeah. Okay. I know it's the start of the map, but this accuracy lead is kind of. I don't know. I don't know if it's like big or like it's kind of still small. Since it's. Oh, there's
Well, I mean, with that 200, it definitely seems a little bit bigger now, but it was smaller than I expected as we got through the first like 600-ish notes. And well, here comes some of the more strenuous jacks. All of these anchors coming out, but seems like both players handling them just fine.
Yeah, both players seem to be doing well on this pick. CLLG does have that accuracy lead though, so if they can hold on to this, then they can win the match.
About halfway through, CLG pretty stagnant at 99.92. No bad judgments from them, but Xiao GM, he took that hit, he got that 200, but still has a 99.88, and so they are very much so still in this game. I think the MAs are pretty similar, all things considered, so with that minor slip up, they do have the back foot. However, CLG could take a potential 200 or maybe some CB rush, some miss, and Nahiblox can still eke this one out.
Yeah, and as we're getting closer to the finish line, seems like both players don't have a struggle on this too much, as they are both at the 99.9 accuracy mark. But CLOG does have that lead. Oh, Shadow GM does miss. And that could be the nail in the coffin unless CLOG does find that trade, which could happen. It's not the end of the map yet.
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, CLG still miss, but very, very unfortunate slip up from Shadow GM. You had that 200 earlier on, but then did really, really well to claw their way back up in terms of accuracy, and then hits that unfortunate miss. So, I mean, pretty light jack section compared to some of the others. I don't know if it's going to be enough to cause any bad judgment from CLG. And as the map closes out, we'll see if it happens. Doesn't seem so. Last final rush, nothing doing. And get creative, make a name. Taking this one 5-1 versus Nahiblox, and CLG just getting that DDP out.
Wow, sub 100 perfect count in a 998. That's scary. That's scary. I mean, hey, if you're going against this team next week, good luck, man. That's all I gotta say.
Basically, yeah. I mean,
that's all I gotta say.
They're a very, very scary team in really like all parts of the map pool, and that's why they are C25. There's so many insane players out there in the tournament setting where it's like C25 is pulling out a 998 on a map like this and getting a DDP. It's just like what's going on nowadays, right? But I mean, well played to Team Red. They did it. They got a couple break points off of Team Blue. Some surprising LN hybrid matchups, and Nahiblox did very well. But unfortunately, the consistency caused their suffering, and they're gonna go down into the loser bracket. But of course, seeing how established and well known they are, and how experienced they are in tournament settings, they're one to watch out for in the lower bracket.
Yeah, I hope now their potential opponents have seen what they are capable of playing when it comes to these future matches. So a bit of an analysis will be good for going against these players, I think. But yeah, nothing to scoff about from both these performances. Both teams did put up a fight, and that's all that matters. So yeah, that's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I mean, couple matches left in the weekend. I mean, we're about midway through. There's still a lot of exciting ones, especially considering the fact that we do have one that will switch over in a little bit. Not sure if we're gonna take a little break or not, but there is what is that? Yuri versus the Tongli Tuxor team.
Oh my god,
that's you know, we might switch to. But aside from that, you know, still a lot of matches left, and we're in the middle of a block as well. So I think we have one at 21 UTC, 22 UTC, and then big block obviously with the European/Asian time zones.
yeah. But that is going to be it for the match, and not the stream, because we have another match that's happening right now that we're gonna be switching to. So yeah, I think I'm gonna dip for this one. But yeah, I'm going to be aero commentating that match alongside Dynascape.
Yeah, I mean, we hope you guys enjoyed. Stick around, because obviously we'll be switching to this next match, and we'll see you in the next one.
See you guys.